Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we're making ostrich ravioli with Yetti Red Sauce. Yes, ostrich ravioli. I know, not the thing you're used to seeing, but this stuff is absolutely delicious. It tastes like filet mignon, and this is the ground version of filet mignon. How can you go wrong with that? This came from American Ostrich Farm out in Idaho, believe it or not, out of all the places, a South African bird in Idaho. But these guys know what they're doing. And if you order from them and look through their website, they have an Easter egg. You can get a free sticker. I like my free stickers. So let's get started with today's menu. We start out with, of course, our ostrich meat. Now, if you want to do it with regular ground beef or ground pork or even ground chicken, I suppose you could, plug in whatever you like. But for this one, we're doing a pound of ground ostrich. We're going to do 16 ounces, which is half of this. I haven't opened it yet. 16 ounces of ricotta cheese, half a cup of basil, or 2 teaspoons if you've got the dried version, and an egg. That's going to do the filling for the ravioli. Now, for the actual dough to the pasta dough, we're going to start with 2.5 cups of flour. That's 300 grams if you weigh it out. It's a little more precise that way. We do 3 eggs plus 2 yolks. We're going to save the whites for later. We're going to need that to stuff the ravioli with, and a pinch of salt. And for the red sauce, the yummy red sauce, we're going to do a whole onion, 4 cloves of garlic. I mean, it is Italian. You got to have that garlic flavor to it. A can of San Marzano. Got to get the name right. These are good tomatoes. We're going to do their peeled, halfway baked, all that good stuff. We're going to do a can of these. We're also going to put some paste in it to help thicken it up some. So a can of tomatoes, can of tomato paste, a teaspoon of oregano, a sprig of fresh basil. We'll pull that out later to not give it too much of a bite, but for the cooking process, you want a sprig of basil, the basil, and a little spicy pepper to give it just a little kick. Again, this is the to taste part. If you want to just eat it normal, cool. If you want to have a little angry pasta going on, add some spice and salt and pepper to taste. So let's get started with out of the 3 ingredients. Tell you what, let's roll out the pasta first, because that's going to sit in the fridge and relax. Now to start this process, we're going to take our flour and make one giant mess. Isn't this the fun part about cooking? Getting everything all everywhere. We're going to make our ye old well. Once you've got a big hole in the middle, because it's not a water well, it's just a well of eggicity. We'll crack ourselves in 3 of these eggs. Let's go for the photo finish on this 3rd one. Let's pull this out a little bit. I didn't quite leave enough well to fit all of this delicious egginess into. And for this next part, what we'll do, we'll crack these into a bowl. So that way what we can save the yellow, pull it out, and hang on to our whites for later. Ha ha ha, they both made it. Now you just get to get your fingers dirty, reach in here, pull out the yolk, and drop it right in. This egg white will come in handy later, because what we're going to do, we're going to use it as the glue to hold the raviolis together. And now we whisk this up and start making us a little bitty bowl of goodness. Now, as you get this going along, what we're going to do is slowly pull in the flour into the mix. Try to keep it from escaping. Never really works out perfectly, but sometimes things amazingly happen. And of course, don't forget a pinch of salt before you go too far into this. Got to add a little flavor to everything. You know how that goes. Now, I suppose technically you could have started right from the beginning with getting the fingers dirty, but this gives you just a little bit of hope of maybe not getting it underneath your fingernails. Now we'll take our bench scraper and we'll just kind of pull it in, keep it all together, keep working it until we come out with something that resembles a lot more of a dough look than this. And once you have arrived at something that's a little unruly to work out with these, no matter what you do, it's time to get the hands into it. Get the mixing, the mashing, the messing. I mean, after all, homemade means made at home, means somebody got their hands dirty. All right, we've got it slightly mixed together. What we're gonna do now is just keep going until we get that lovely little ball of dough that says, hey, I'm ready to make pasta. Now, as much as you would love this process to go quick, boom, microwave happy, oh no, to get this dough right, you've got probably 10, 12 minutes of kneading just to make it perfect, easy, and simply delicious. Yeah, frustrations sometimes happen, but it's okay. It'll all work out. Now that we've been kneading and mixing and kneading, our dough has gone from something that just wanted to fight and stick and not cooperate to something that's just smooth as butter. It's actually gotten a lot easier to work with as far as the pushing and tugging. It's not just a struggle to get to it. And when it sticks to your hand, it doesn't leave anything behind. We've gotten to the right texture. Now, as far as choice of flour on this, there's several different options. There's a world of options on flour. You can get the double O, which is typically what they want to make pasta out of. It makes a much smoother feeling pasta. There's all-purpose, which is what we're using today. You can even do some home ground, but that's the hardest to work with just because at home you're not going to get it as fine as commercial flour. But for this, we're doing good. We've got it mixed up. We've got a nice little dough ball here that's holding up well. We're going to take this guy, coat him up with a saran wrap so that he stays nice and moist inside. He doesn't dry out. We're going to put him in the fridge for about 30 minutes while we're making the rest of the ingredients. Let's get on to the sauce. And of course, the first step in all of this lovely sauciness is to get our onion chopped up. So let's do the fast forward cut and get this guy decentralized. And there y'all have it. One beautiful onion cut up, sliced in. Y'all give me a minute. I'll be right back. Whew, sorry about that. That onion got me a little emotional. Now, the garlic, just a little shpow, always does a trick. You smash it up, it loosens up the skin, and you just peel it away from it, and then you got the whole clove ready to go through the masher. Now, if you don't have the whole garlic, well, I guess you could use either garlic powder or some of the pre-sliced up stuff you can get that's already nice and shred-related, but whole, fresh, just has a great flavor to it. Now that we've got these guys prepped, time to put them in a pan and get them hotting up. So for the sauce, the biggest thing to worry about is time, because you got a lot of different, really good flavors. And you want to let them all marry together and just get happy. So we'll start out. We got our pot on here. We're going to add, of course, a little bit of olive oil. It's Italian. You wouldn't want to use anything but olive oil, right? A good little lumpity lump there. And then we add the onions. We want to sweat them out a little bit. Give them a chance to get all soft and tender and relaxed first before we add the garlic. Come on, kids, into the pool. Man, is that not the most satisfying sound out there? It's the sound of dinner just working its way, getting ready for your tonsils. You know, there was a joke I heard way back in the day on Star Search. Little kid was out there and he said, hey, do you know what the sun did to Keith and Bobby? And of course the judges said, nah, you tell me. And the little kid said, well, the sun made Keith sweat and Bobby brown. That's a throwback to the 90s. Well, now that we have got these onions sweating, it's time to add the garlic. We're just gonna drop in the cloves into the press. Give it a good old, look at that, is that not beautiful? Let's see, we got one more to go though. Bloop, and squish. I tell you what, for a garlic press, this guy is amazing. It don't take no stuffings, and it just does the job. It's all you can ask out of your tools, right? Now make sure you keep stirring this. You don't want your garlic to burn. That's gonna change the flavor in a way you don't want this sauce to be. Yes, indeed, everybody's loose and fragrant and just making the whole house smell wonderful. Time to add the tomatoes to this fancy mix. We'll start out with our whole tomatoes and just slide them right in there. Give it a mix so everybody gets happy and incorporated. Now this is like, you know how you go and get the Blizzard? It's like, yeah, it ain't coming out. Look at it, is that not thick? We will add our tomato paste, one loving scoop at a time. Ta-da, she's empty. And we will mix this in, get everything loosened up some. Now if you want, because this is we're making a more of a chunky sauce. I mean, you could put this stuff in a blender when you're done and make it as smooth as a baby's butt. But for now, I'm wanting chunk. We're gonna go ahead and slice our tomatoes up a little bit. Now, make sure it's not after Labor Day. You can't wear white when you're doing this, because you may have a little surprise visit from a tomato. We're gonna add in our oregano, because I tell you what, just as the oregano's sitting here, oh, the smell of this stuff just makes you want to just eat the seasoning as a whole. But no, no, no. You mix it with tomatoes and onions and garlic, oh, it just gets even better and better. We're gonna add just a pinch of red flakes to it, because we want it a little warm, not a lot of warm. And I wish I knew what brand of peppers those were. I had a friend of mine give those to me, and they hot. I mean, not hot, they hot. So just a very little pinch will do. And we're gonna set us in a sprig of basil. That way we can fetch it back out of there. Just something to add to the flavor. We're gonna set this guy on low. We want it to simmer and let it sit here and mind its own business for about 45 minutes, maybe more, depending on how long it takes to make the meat. Now, before you put in the ostrich meat, again, because it's so lean, we want to little pan lubricant here, because we don't want nothing sticking to nothing. Get on in there all nice and pretty. Ooh, I might be a little high on the flame here. All right. And then we will just plop this guy in here. Ooh, listen to that. Now from here, we're gonna brown this all around and make it delish. You know, the problem with trying to cook and make videos and I got this pan hot before I put the meat in, and it started sticking. I had a little 911 on that. So pulled it off the heat for a minute, kept stirring, got it unstuck. And now we're just letting it go and brown and get all beautiful. Once this is browned up nicely, what we'll do, we'll let it cool down just a little bit, and we'll mix in the cheese and just a pinch of salt. Now that we've got this just about browned up, I want you to take a look at something. Look in the pan. Notice how much oil there is not. Literally all that's left in here is just a little bit of pan lube that I put in before I started. This lean meat really shows its way with this. And I tell you what, if you were making burgers out of it, probably be some really awesome things. That is an idea. Well, thanks to the power of technology, we missed adding the basil, but let me simulate. Add basil. And now we're gonna take our half a thing of ricotta cheese, mix it in here, and this way it can get all happy and be yummy, yummy, yummy. We'll just slide this stuff right on in there. Look at there, is that not pretty? Let's do it again. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. I think that's about halfway. I don't know. And we're gonna mix the meat with the ricotta and make a lovely filling for this here ravioli. Let's see what we got so far. That's gonna be good. And now to kind of help bind this when we put it in with the ravioli, we're gonna take and add 1 egg to it. 1 absolute farm fresh egg, because it is still warm, because I walked right outside and got it. We'll add this to the mix. Whee! Stir it up nicely, and then start on the pasta. So now that the pasta has come out of the fridge and is just waiting to be turned into something delicious, we're We're gonna slice this guy into 4 pieces, run it through our pasta roller, and start making some raviolis. We start with just a simple quartering of the dough, because to work with this whole thing would be dang near impossible. We'll take our quarter and we will wrap these guys back up. We'll get to you soon. And what we'll do, we'll take this, we will take a liberal amount of snow, aka all-purpose flour, aka the best mess-making stuff we got, because we will need it as we start to roll this out. We're going to turn it first into something that we can put through here. Now you could use a rolling pin, you could use one of 500 different ways to make it fit, but for me, I'm just going to press it out nicely and crank it through. We'll just take our handle. Now as you're using one of these, you got to take the handle and actually keep constant forward pressure on it. Otherwise it just kind of, you'll crank it a little bit and, oh, that ain't working. So also the thing I love too, this thing also has a message on it that says, do not clean with water. Well, what else am I going to clean it with? Air? Basically, if you don't want to get it too wet, it'll rust up on you. So we'll take our first bit of dough, we'll run it through, and of course this will be a very ugly run through, but it's okay. Also, the pasta machine is set to its widest setting. So we have roll number 1. What we're going to do is a book fold, trying to get this into a nice square piece before you actually start rolling it into the dough. And we'll run this through again. And we'll fold it up one more time. I just don't like it yet. I'm gonna keep messing with it until I'm happy. See, I didn't put enough pressure on the handle. Hit me right in the toe. Yeah, we're pretty square with that. Now, we run it through a few times. We're gonna start shrinking this down. Now you don't wanna go from like a 7 to a 1, because all you do is wad up and mat up the pasta. So we'll bring it down 1 tick at a time. And every time we run it through, we're gonna run it through twice, just to make it pretty. See, it's already starting to grow and we ain't even got far down the cranks. Now, as you're picking this up, you don't want to pick it up with your fingertips because you'll stretch it out that way. You either want to flat hand it or back of the hand it. Smooth touches, that's what you're after. And voila, we have our pasta dough all rolled out. Now I've got this set to a 2. If you want to go really thin, you can do with a 1, or if you like a thicker, chewier pasta, you could even go with a 3. But for the ravioli we're making, 2, perfect. We've got it all laid out here. Now, if you don't have this much counter space, you can cut this in half. You can do it in smaller pieces. Make this recipe work for you. Just because I've got room to do it, make it work for your kitchen. Also, if you don't want to make the ravioli, you can actually find pre-made ravioli if you want to skip all this fun step. But hey, if you can make this stuff taste great, why don't you? Now, let's scoop in some of this ostrich filling for some lovely dinner. Now, before we get to the actual filling, remember the egg white we saved for later? That's where this comes in handy. We're going to brush this side of it so that way it gets sticky, because as we put this in, well, this is the glue that's going to hold the ravioli together. I mean, you're not making soup, you're making ravioli. So we'll get a good coating on it, and after we have that, we'll plop in the ravioli. Everything's ooey gooey. We'll just take, now, don't like go ballistic and put big old meatball size freaking ravioli. You just want a taste of this in every bite. So we will take and set 1 little scoop every few inches apart. That way we've got room to roll the ravioli, make it into a delicious little delectable. Ooh, see, too close. You don't want that. Now that everybody's lined up in the playground ready to party, we're gonna take and fold this over, and you're gonna pull it just gently over everything at first. You don't wanna close this up yet. But we're just gonna gently pull this nice thin dough, get it situated. And now you're gonna you wanna start from either the middle out, left, right, whichever, but you wanna make sure you've got a tunnel for the air to escape, because if you've got air inside the ravioli, then when you put it in the boiling water, it's gonna poof and explode. Not what you're after. We're making raviolis, not soup. We press down gently on the ravioli, work our way across like you see here, getting all the air out of it. And we'll go back to the other side now. And now we're gonna take our knife, or I tell you what, instead of a knife, I'm gonna get my biscuit cutter. We're gonna make these round. Hold on. So we can either make us some cat head ravioli, some big old ravioli. Let's see, how does this guy look? Tell you what, I think she'll do nicely. Now she won't. We're gonna use this one. We're just gonna go around each piece and mash down, and trim it up, and just go around the whole bunch of them. Now nothing says you can't take what you cut off, run it through here again, and make more out of them. There's nobody watching you. It ain't against the law. Now we're gonna take our ravioli and just slide them right up. Ooh, look at that. We're gonna give them another good little mash to make sure everybody is sealed up tight. Set them to the side, rinse, and repeat. We gotta do this 3 more times. I won't bore you with the details of the other ones. We'll just make them like bam. Now we've got the water on here getting ready for a good boil so that we can slide them raviolis in. And we're checking on our red sauce here. And as you can see, we've got lots of good chunky. Hold on, I'll bring you a little bit. Take a look at that right there. Ooh, got the chunky chunks. Now, depending on what you want, if you want a smoother pasta or a smoother red sauce, what you can do is now take this, let it cool a little bit, put it in the blender, spin it up a little, chop it up a little, food processor even. That'll give you more of a finer. But for this one, I want to see what I'm eating. I want to see the onion. I want to see the tomato. So I'm going to leave it just like this. And since we're done, I'll pull out our sprig of basil. It has done a nice job, sir. It's time for you to retire. We're going to slide this one away and get into the boiling of the pasta. You know, it occurred to me as I was staring at my beautiful sauce that something was missing. So at the last minute, opened up a quick can of mushroom, drained it, dumped it in. Yes, I know they're not sauteed and gorgeous, but they work for the effect we want. Now, on to the pasta. We have our boiling water. Little tip to speed this up. I put the lid on it, boiled it without the salt in it, so that way it wouldn't boil over. Now that we've got the boiling water, doosh, into it goes the salt. We do a quick stir to get that salty as the sea effect. Again, I'm not sure what the actual salinity of the sea is, but somebody knows. And now we're going to ease these guys in. We're just going to take and soak them into the hot tub. Get in there, boys. It's a beautiful day. Mix them up a little bit. They sink right to the bottom. Beautiful. That means they didn't have too much air in them. We'll give them a few minutes. They should start to float. I'm still going to go ahead and cook them for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. At the end of that time, we'll pull them out and keep putting more and more into the pot until we're done. Now, you don't want to beat these guys up or just hit them around with anything. So this right here is called a spider. This is one of the most amazing tools for getting things in and out of boiling water or frying oil or any of that stuff. You slide it in, it goes under it, gently cradles and caresses it, takes it out. You can shake off the water, set it to the side, and get some more in there. You know, sometimes it is worth it to invest in a tool or two every now and then to make your life so much simpler in the kitchen. Now, while the stove is making everything hot and scrumptious, let me tell you a little story a friend of mine ran into. He was out working on his truck, couldn't get the thing to run, trying to figure out what's going on, and all of a sudden, guess what he saw? He snuck out there, grabbed his phone real quick, sat behind another car, and look at this, caught him. There was a Bigfoot trying to work on his car. I don't know if he fixed it or if he got a part off of it and just headed to the woods. But lo and behold, You know Bigfoot's a mechanic? That's news to me. I tell you what, little by little, this guy, he's gonna be part of society. I guarantee you, he's gonna run for president. Just wait and see. Just like I'm waiting to see if you would mind terribly hitting that subscribe button. I need it. It helps me. It helps me make crazy things like ostrich ravioli. And it helps you keep entertained. So, enough of Sasquatches and subscribing. Let's get back to the cooking. And there you have it, my friends. A little ostrich pasta. All you need is a touch of color. By color, I mean some of this delicious red sauce we put on top. And of course, what good is a pasta without? That's right. A little bit of cheese on top to make it just look absolutely appetizing. We will shred lead. Oh, look at that, look at that. It's just melting right into it. You know, you ever eat at those places and they're like, would you like some shredded cheese? You're like, yes, please. And then you just look at them funny when they stop. Yeah, I might be that guy. Ho, 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 ho. Ooh, let's add a little more thing to it. Let's make it pretty. Let's put a little color on it just for the shot. And there you have it. Tell me, does this not look good? Well, heck with knowing if it looks good. Let's see if it's good. We're gonna take some of this and some of that with some of the cheese. Oh. You know, not knowing it's ostrich, you'd swear you got yourself a really good beef ravioli here. I'll tell you what, if anybody asks you about this, all you gotta do is look them square in the eye and tell them, Bigfoot is real. And there you have it, my friends. A little bit of unicorn pasta. I keep wanting to say bison.